I mean, now I see it's like there's no cause and effect to anything. Things just are. There's a rhythm to life, and they are happening for you to experience something. So the mind wants to make like, oh, this has happened because of this, but even that has happened because of something. And there's a just flow happening.
So you woke up at 4:30 a.m. What have you been doing?
That's an amazing first question. Thank you. I woke up at 4:30 a.m. Actually, my uncle invited me yesterday to go to his farm. And I was like, so yesterday I was feeling like, oh, I want to go to this farm. And then my uncle called me like, let's go to the farm tomorrow morning. So we go to this farm that's up the mountains. And then I said, yeah. I woke up and I did my yoga at 4:30, and we were supposed to go at 6. So I called him. He's like, it got cancelled. I'm like, and in my head before that, I'm like, I feel it's going to get cancelled. And it was for me to get back into the schedule. So I was actually glad when he said that. And then I got back into my journaling. Then I did some grounding. I'm writing a book. So I started writing that. So my day actually expanded a lot because of that. I'm glad.
Cool.
Yeah. And then you messaged about the podcast, about making it a bit earlier. And this was the perfect day for that, because otherwise my day would have stretched a bit later and we would have done at the normal time.
Amazing. What would you have done at the farm?
So it's a beautiful, beautiful place on like 15, 20 kilometers up the mountains from where I'm living. It's still the starting of the mountains. So we go there. He has got a kiwi farm. He has got some, fruits and vegetables there. He wanted to get it from there. And for me, it's like to go there and just do my yoga or spend some time there. It's like an isolated location. Amazing, amazing place where you feel the energy,
Cool. Okay, and whereabouts in India are you again?
I am currently by the north of India in a city called Dehradun. Have you heard of this?
Is that the place where it's not where the Dalai Lama lives, is it?
That's Dharamshala. That is in the other state up north. This is near Rishikesh. Have you heard of it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been to Ladakh.
Oh, that's further north. It's a third state. I remember you telling me that. This city is more like a mix of a city and the mountain region. It's just the starting of the Himalayas. The places you're talking about, they are up in the mountains.
Cool. So this is like the foothills of the Himalayas.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So I can enjoy both.
And you didn't grow up there, right?
Mm-hmm. I grew up in New Delhi.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so should we go into how you grew up? I'm just thinking,
definitely.
because I've been doing these conversations with like random people off Twitter who I know nothing about. So the first 2 minutes is like, can you just tell me like who you are, or like now, because I don't even know that. And then I was thinking to do that with you, but then it's like weird because I know we already know each other, but also from Twitter. But you can, if you want to give yourself a little intro, you can. How I introduce you to if it's like, oh, who are you speaking to, Delia? I'm like, oh, I'm speaking to my like spiritual guide who lives in India. They're like, what? Is that like a coach? I'm like, no, he's just like a friend I made on Twitter, but he provides me like spiritual wisdom.
I love that. Yeah. So if I have to introduce myself with I like spiritual guide. I am a transformation and manifestation coach by profession right now.
Cool.
Yeah.
Do you want to say more about what that means for someone who's
That
never heard those words?
So transformation means really aligning with your mind, body, and spirit. And um, this is basically for the people who are on the self growth journey, self development journey, who want to really release their hidden blocks, which are, you know, um, keeping them from getting what they want to achieve in their life. Really starting your work from that place of alignment, uncovering your gifts, and then also tapping into the manifestation techniques on how you can bend this reality. So that's what we do in our coaching, and that's what I share in my wisdom through writing or videos.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm keen to hear about the path you took to get there, because I know you had like a chapter in the UK, you did other work, various stuff happened. So let's begin with how you grew up.
So, I mean, the path has been like the whole journey or the whole life that I have lived. Which path would you like to know about? Because I I spent until my early 20s in New Delhi. And then I moved to the UK and spent 8 years of my life there before I had those spiritual awakenings. And then my life brought me back to India, first New Delhi, and then back to where I'm living right now, Dehradun. So it's been the whole journey. Like, what would you like to know about?
So, beginning with how you grew up in New Delhi, what was your childhood like?
I would say childhood was fun. It was a comfortable childhood. My dad's he's been in the travel industry, so I got to travel a lot with him, and and that's when I got my exposure to traveling and the world. However, I always used to have this thing that I want to expand more than this environment, because when I used to go to the school, I would not resonate with something was off there. Like I would not resonate with the system. Like I would know that there's something off. And now that I have taken this path, I know what was that. So I always had this thing about the schooling system, about my friends, even though I would enjoy all of it, but at the same time, I would know I'm there to expand. While at the same time, traveling with my family, we used to have those 1 or 2 international trips every year, because my dad was in this industry, and he was a very loving person. He would always take his kids and the whole family together, and he wanted us to expand. So with that, as I started seeing the world, started seeing the outside world, I was like, I will like go outside. I would one day, like, that's where my wings are going to expand. That's where I'm going to fly. And then eventually I got to move to the UK after my first bachelor's. Then I experienced that whole unfolding of the expansion.
So, what kind of places would you travel to?
Yeah. So being a travel agent, like all the countries which would be like new, all the places which would be like new and open to tourism. For example, when Thailand was open to the tourism for the first time, they would invite us. South Africa, and it was like unexplored places at that time. Southeast Asia, Africa, Europe, not so much. Europe and this Western world, not so much at that point, but more like Southeast Asia, Africa, Maldives, that those places. And I'm fortunate because they were like unexplored places at that point, and you're just getting the opportunity to have the best entertainment, the best experience of that place firsthand from the tourism authorities.
Cool. And do you have siblings?
I do have a sibling, older brother.
And did you get on well?
Yeah, we did. I feel like, yeah, we did, kind of. Okay, let me think. Not really. We did. At the same time, I would say, like, we have always had this, we can kill each other, but we can kill for each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's how it always had been and has been, I would say.
And what did your mum do?
She has been a housewife
And did both your parents grow up in New Delhi?
in New Delhi, yeah.
And your family, like your grandparents are from there and everything?
My grandparents moved from Pakistan, like when it was still India, but the current Pakistan, when the separation was happening, so they moved from a region called Peshawar from there. Because when the separation was happening, then people were given the choice of where you want to live. So my granddad then came to Delhi and started his life from there.
On your mum's side?
On my dad's side. On my mom's side as well, actually, because yeah, they were from there too. Although I do not know his story, probably they didn't share. But my granddad from the dad side, he used to share his story a lot, and that's like it's like recorded in my subconscious. It feels.
Wow, that's so interesting. So they were Hindu, and so a lot of those people left, and the Muslims stayed in Pakistan.
Yeah, you can say that. True.
Interesting.
You know about that?
Yeah, of course.
I'm pleased. Because a lot of people I used to meet in like during my time in the UK, so a lot of them probably wouldn't know even about Pakistan. Some of them wouldn't know about Pakistan, and a lot of them wouldn't know about like this whole chapter of Pakistan India. So it's good to see that you know the story.
So do your parents still have like are there certain things? I know just because India's like such a big country, it was so interesting being in Ladakh, and it's like those people are, I don't know, it's so interesting, like all the different languages, and it's almost like even how people like look totally different from each other, like and the food and everything's different. So did they, and then religion can be as well. So did your parents like hold on to certain cultural things from that region in Pakistan, or
No.
not really?
I would say my granddad had the accent of that region. It's a region which is called I guess Punjab, which is a part of India and Pakistan as well. So it's the same language. However, he had that accent from that side, which was very fun to listen to when he used to talk. My dad, not so much, I would say. But yeah, of course, when you're born somewhere, you get that that blood, that culture. So he does have that culture, that he had that way of living for sure from that region.
And so what was life like in Delhi, like going to school? Like, I guess you don't have anything to compare it to really, but can you try and paint a picture? I've been there for like one night, but I would have no idea what it would be like to go to school there.
Yeah, do you have like any specific question like around that, like specific curiosity around the school life?
Like, well, like which part of the city were you in? What was it, like a big school? Were there like big?
Yeah, that was a big. Yeah, let me get deeper into that if we are going into the details. It's like, so I lived in the west part of Delhi, and the school was one of the most popular from that side. And when I used to go there, it was at that point it was a good school, like in terms of the kids coming there and all the things. And I would say it was a decent schooling. It was kind of we used to have fun with the friends. The facilities were good. It was like you have all the sports. I used to play cricket at professional level, so that used to be one of my key entertainment of what to do, what to look up to when I'm going to the school, because a lot of time I would go to the practice instead of the classes. But there it was, I would say, in terms of the schooling or how schools are, it was a good, like, decent school, more than decent.
And what was it that your parents wanted for you?
Sorry, you just cut.
What
I couldn't.
was it that
Yeah.
your parents wanted for you when you were growing up?
They actually always gave me the freedom to be what I wanted to be, and my dad always had this dream that he wanted to send his kids abroad for the higher studies, because all in his circle, like we used to, like, his circle of the business, his friends and all those people they had this thing that you should send your kids for the higher studies so that they can get the exposure. So he had that, and that aligned pretty well with my dream of what I wanted to do. So in terms of what they wanted me to do, I would say, like, they never kind of put that on me. I was very much free. At the same time, I would say I used to take my own decisions on, this is what I want to do, this is how it's done, and then they would support me.
And was there any, like, spiritual or religious part of your growing up?
Yeah, not spiritual for sure. Religious, I would say, more like religious. We do worship certain gods, or I would say one or two major gods at home, and one is my mom's favorite and one is my dad's favorite, and that was told to us growing up, that that's how you worship, this is how it's done, and this is when you want something, this is how you ask.
Cool. Which gods? Krishna?
It's so it's a goddess. For dad, it was goddess Durga, the goddess with 10 hands and sitting on the lion, sitting on the tiger. Oh yeah, pardon me. And for mom, it's Vaheguru, like the Sikh god with the turban, and the beard.
Interesting. Even though she's not Sikh.
She's Sikh. She's Punjabi, which is like the religion which is a mix of, which is a sub-religion of Hinduism, but mixed with Sikhism, because the gods are the same and the language is the same.
Ah.
It's like a mix.
So would you have been following Sikhism?
I actually never resonated with the religion growing up because of the same practices, because it didn't go into my soul. Going to the god and asking in a certain way before the exam so that he can give me something. And so I saw all of that, but it was not like something that I did from the heart.
Okay, so you just kind of did it to please your parents.
Yeah, I would say. Or the conditioning, just taking it what you're told and trying it out. Although even growing up, you might not resonate, but you're not actually operating from the heart. You're operating from the mind, what's fed into you growing up. So that's how I was operating as well, I would say. And now I see that. Now I can say those things that it never resonated. At that point, probably it didn't, but I didn't know, like, if it's resonating or not. I couldn't observe myself not, doing it without the heart.
And did other families, like your friends at school or whatever, did people have similar experiences with religion, or it varied?
It's varied. But it's very much prevalent in the society of a lot of people. They are into idol worship. A lot of this is a concept, and I do hear some people saying that they do not resonate with it now more often. But at that point, I would say a lot like it was either they are not doing it. That's what I remember. Like either they are not doing it at all because it's like nah, or they are. I mean, it was not spiritual. Like there was no spiritual aspect. It's like they are not doing it because they are maybe, let's say, atheist, or they are doing the idol worship because, oh, this is the way. This is how you get things. This is my God, and my God is better than your God, let's say.
Got it. But it would be all similar from like a Hindu tradition. There weren't like Christians or Muslims or people doing something totally different.
Very, very rare. There were, but very rare, like 1-2%.
Mm-hmm. And then did you follow like food rules? And like was that, because I guess no one eats beef, right?
Yeah, no one eats beef. That's perfect because, of course, if you're told not to do that, it becomes a part of your system. Like you never had that before, so you don't crave that. So one thing that I remember is like there's a thing called like you don't eat non-veg on Tuesday, and that is because this is this God's day.
You don't eat what?
Non-vegetarian, like meat. You don't eat meat on Tuesdays. And some people it's Tuesdays and Thursday, and some people it's Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and literally like every day is a God day. So, I mean, there was one time we wouldn't eat on Tuesday and Thursday and Friday because that's what my dad followed, my family followed, and then we moved to like Mondays and Thursdays, no, Tuesdays and Thursdays, no meat, and then Tuesdays, no meat. And then we were like, guys, like, first of all, every day is God's day. So what's the logic? So that was a very common theme. It's like our friends always used to like caution, like, and then also break that rule because for the same reason that it's like, why are they putting us into something in a fear mode of do this because this is this God's day, and you are bad for doing that if you do that.
Interesting. But would it be like, it wouldn't be like if you went to a restaurant and got meat on a Tuesday or something, people would be like, oh my God, what are you doing?
So, yeah, they would be. They would be like, oh, how could you? Or like when we were growing up, it was about also the drinks, like drinking alcohol. And like when we were growing up, we wouldn't follow anything like in the college and then we would also break some time. And yeah, it's interesting.
Because you're not meant to drink alcohol at all?
Not on Tuesday.
Oh. Oh, but you can on other days. It's fine.
You can. I mean, on the other days, you can do that, but then it comes a new rule to the game. Not on Tuesday and not on Thursday.
Interesting. Okay. Got it.
And probably that was the reason that it started clicking like, no, there's something wrong here. Those were the reasons, because it's like our elders would change the rules according to them. And you're like, no, there's something off. I mean, this doesn't make sense.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so funny. The conversation I just did was with a Jewish guy who was describing in his family. It's like, yeah, they followed. So on Shabbat, like Friday night to Saturday, you're not meant to like use electricity or watch TV or like do all these rules. But their family was like, yeah, we do that, except TV is allowed and like lights are allowed. You're allowed to keep the lights on. We don't have to do the candles. And then it's kind of, yeah, kids kind of work out like, hang on, like who's coming up with these rules and like who gets to like make the exceptions.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like we have a lot of fast here. So I do different kind of fast now, which are like no calories fast for a couple of days. And I understand what the fasting is doing, and also why these religious fasts were given to us to really clean ourselves, to clean our energies. And they were fasts that started with some fruits and some limited selected vegetables at one time of the day. And then as the years passed by, in different households, they started adding vegetables. And there's tomato being added, there's different vegetables being added, and they are having now the whole day with that exception of those limited vegetables, and they're like, oh, we are fasting. So it's like, who's making the rules?
Got it. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So you growing up, you just had this feeling that you would leave and you would go and move overseas at some point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's what I kind of was excited about, or desired, let's say.
And so when did you do that?
So I studied my first degree in Delhi. That was business and marketing. And after that, I started applying, and then the good colleges in the UK. So UK became my first option as I started researching. And the good master's degree, they were like, oh, you get here, but after 2 years of experience. And somehow I'm like, yeah, I'm good with that. So then I worked for 2 years after my first degree, and then I got admission at Oxford Brookes, and then I moved to Oxford for that.
And so did you enjoy your time through uni and through working?
So I wasn't working and uni together. So the first uni happened. I loved that time because that gave me a lot of expansion. So my first uni was a lot of expansion from my school, because then it was it was actually the top business school in the whole of city. And then kids were coming from all parts of the country. And although I had more fun than the studies, improved my soft skills, improved my social skills a lot. So that was a fun part. Again, the exposure of the studies or intellectual was missing, but the fun was full on there. So that was fun. And then I worked at my family business, my dad's business, to really get into the understanding of the industry, because that really excited me, the travel industry. And then I worked with him for 2 years. He trained me directly. I directly worked under him, and that was a good time. Yeah.
Cool. And were you living at home through that whole period?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is that what a lot of people do?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even after marriage, a lot of people live here with the family.
Oh my God, cool. Wait, who with the wife's family?
With the husband's family.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I actually love that. Honestly, I feel like it's so important. Anyway, that's a whole nother topic. But I feel like it's really sad that we've lost that in the West. I think especially with women having children, it's so hard if you're just on your own with a baby, and it feels like so far removed from how it would have been through the millennia of like having like a village of women around you to help and support. Anyway.
Yeah, I love the perspective. Yeah, that's how it's usually taken, and that's, I feel, is the initial purpose of this whole system of having a joint family or elders together, so that you can support each other.
Wow. Oh my God. Cool. Okay. So you.
Guess that's one for you. Guess that is for you. You like this?
I don't know about that. I mean, it's like so. I feel like it's such a foreign idea to so many people in the West that it's like it's hard to even imagine. But anyway. Okay, so then you moved to the UK. And how did you find that?
How did I find the whole experience? So the first time actually when I was taking the flight and everyone was saying goodbye to me, I was just smiling because I knew like what's ahead. And then also my mom commented like we were crying and you were smiling. And when I landed, in the country, the breath that I took, the first breath, I knew it's like the freedom. Then I moved to Oxford, met with amazing people from all walks of life, coming from different countries, and really who were on the similar wavelength, who have traveled across the world, and it was a completely different mind frame or the frequency that I didn't have access to before. So it was like I found my people at that point, and life started to change in very different ways.
Cool.
That I always looked for.
And what kind of places were they from, the people you became friends with?
All over the world. So I would say all over the world. It's like so in our batch, it was like 50 people in the, like we were actually, you know how it works in the uni, it's like you are like common with different people in the classes. So basically we were like 200 people, we were all like so close. And at one point, the whole city became so close because, you know, like how Oxford is so small. It became like, you know, everyone. And so those 200 people, or even the 100 people that I was close with at that point, it was like they were from all over the world. Europe, Asia, Southeast Asia, Japan, China, a lot of people from China, a lot of people, not a lot from India, I would say a couple other from India. So I was the minority, like British in those area. And US, yeah, I mean, it was from all across the world.
Cool. Because they have a really good hospitality program, right? Is that what you were doing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I did master in hospitality.
I told you this, right? That I went to the school across the road from Oxford Brookes, Headington Girls'
Which
School.
one? Oh, you did? No, we didn't speak about this.
Yeah. So I went there for a
Hello,
few years.
neighbor.
Yeah, it's so weird.
How was it? Yeah, I mean, you spent some years there?
3 years, yeah.
Love that. Yeah. So you know about the city, of course.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then you moved to London after the masters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. First for my internship. That was a part of the master's program. So I moved there for the internship first, and then I got the job in the same company.
And how did you find that?
Oh, that was again like a brilliant experience. Like I was getting a lot of responsibilities in terms of work. I was getting to travel a lot for work, and I was getting a free so I used to travel a lot during those years when I was in the UK. So I'll take offs and just, let's say some friend is inviting in the Europe, or we are planning something. So 1 week I'm traveling for leisure, for my own trips, weekend, and so then I'm traveling for work, then I'm traveling for leisure, and it was just like that. And a lot of responsibilities. I used to work late hours as well because I was in that zone of work and play. And it was a very expansive place to be at. It was a startup. So I got to get the responsibility once I moved from the internship to the job. Then I got to handle that startup with the CEO, and we were doing a lot of things together. So with that, I got to get into the IT, the marketing, take the interviews, go on the events. So a lot of things together, which was fun.
And what was the business?
It was a travel tech startup. It's so we were building a travel tech platform for the coach operators and the tour operators to really be on a platform and they can put their services live, which was a revolutionary concept. And also we were a DMC for UK. So I was working for both together.
Mm-hmm. Wait, the what for UK?
Like a tour operator, like a DMC. DMC is like, sorry for that. Yeah, that's what used to happen with me when someone would say initially, it's like DMC. I'm like, what is DMC? It's a tour operator. So a local tour operator for London and UK. So people like we would have clients from all over the world visiting the UK and we would take care of them. So I was doing a little bit of that, more during my internship. Then I took charge of travel tech platform and really promoting that all over the world.
Cool. And where in London were you living?
Harrow on the Hill. That was the first place I moved to.
Nice. Northwest.
Northwest.
Okay, so then what happened?
Then what happened? Then a lot of things happened. Then I stayed with them. I got because I needed visas to stay in the UK, of course, as an Indian student and an Indian citizen. Then I got extended a visa, and then I got extended again, and then I spent some years with them, and then I took a break because I wanted to start my business. Eventually, that was the purpose for the intention for me was to do that. That was my longing before that I'll be creating something of my own once I had the exposure. So then I started my own business
In the UK.
in the UK, in London. Yeah.
And how did that go?
Yeah, that started well. I was having a lot of adventures, and that was around 2018 when it started. That's when a different phase for me started, when I shared about my depression to spiritual awakenings. So when it started around a year or so. It started well. I was enjoying the whole process of building a business and working with my family business here as well. So we were working together on some things, and then the phase changed for me after a year and a half or so.
Mm-hmm.
Around 18.
And where did that idea come from that you would build your own business? Was that like came from family values or just like your personality?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, that could be personality, first of all, and like the family values actually play a big role because that's what I saw in my family. Like my dad operated a business, my brother got into a business, and I used to see like this is the lifestyle I want. I mean, they're working according to them. It's like they're working hard. They're working like to build something that they love. At the same time, they're getting the perks of it and the freedom of it and everything. So that resonated with me as opposed to if I would see someone doing a job. So that definitely plants a seed that molds you into a person who you are. And I would say even my personality, I could never have done a job for the whole lifetime. It's like limiting. It's not creative.
Mm-hmm. So how did you do the visa stuff with starting a business?
Yeah, so I've always been fortunate in whatever I wanted, like, and I knew from the heart that I'll get it, and I would always get the things and the opportunities or the people who would make that happen. And when I felt like I want to start this business, I then started looking for it, and there's this tier 1 visa that was available through the university. Then I applied through them, and they sponsor some limited people. And then I got to, do some interviews with them. They approved it, and I started my business after that.
Oh my God, amazing. Is that the entrepreneur visa or something like that?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I also have that feeling because people, because I have to deal with visas and people ask that question a lot because there's a lot of fear. It's like, oh my God, but how are you going to make it work? Visas. And I'm like, visas, it's like a detail. Like you follow your path and then like this other stuff will work out. Not that it's not important. Like obviously it's like super important to make sure you're like, have all the paperwork and stuff, but it's just trusting. It's
Your
trusting
heart,
your path. Yeah.
the plan. Yeah. I love how you said that. That's how I see it too.
Cool. Okay. So how did the depression start? Was it to do with work?
No, not to do with the work. It's like, I mean, now I see it's like there's no cause and effect to anything. Things just are. There's a rhythm to life, and they are happening for you to experience something. So the mind wants to make like, oh, this has happened because of this, but even that has happened because of something, and there's a just flow happening. But at that point, it was a very funny, not funny, like now it's funny. At that point, it wasn't funny. It's like everything around me started to, like break kind of my, like things in my family, my relationships, my friendships, even my, like people around me, like everything, like, and I would say even maybe I was stressed about doing the business as well, because that was my first experience. And so everything started to shatter around all of a sudden. And then I was like, now to help with everyone, I'm going to work on my business. I'm going to be in my cave and I don't need anyone. So then I really kind of shut myself, and I was just working on my business and on myself, not so much on myself, but on my business. And I'm like not talking to anyone. And I thought that could go like that. And then after a few months, when that started happening, when universe was looking to give me an experience, so then I had these moments when I'm talking to someone, I just feel like I want to cry. And for the first time in my life, because I have been so cheerful, I have been so lively, full of life before, and I'm like, what's happening to me? And then I started realizing it's happening more often. I just feel like crying. There's something inside. And then one evening, we were having a drinks with my friend at home, and I shared with him for the first time, like, you know what? I feel there's something wrong with me. I'm feeling like crying without any reason. I feel I'm facing depression. And he said, like, and then at that younger self of me really wanted to hear that. And he said, like, if like you are perfectly normal, if someone has not gone through depression, there's something wrong with them because it's so normal. It's because he had gone through that, and it's like, so he said something along those lines, and it was like, okay, I'm good. And then I started my journey of discovering what it is. I started reading books and audiobooks and Brené Brown, and really what depression is. I realized it's stuck emotions. So then it started my journey of healing. And then I started expressing myself to the people, back to the people that I closed my doors to. And I would deliberately cry if it's coming out. It's like, if I feel like crying for the first time in my life, I would cry. and I will be like, men can cry, because before that there was no crying in my life. So I started crying, I started expressing, I started showing the anger. I started not showing the anger as in anger, but like with my family or with whoever I wanted to share anything, whatever was coming out, I'll just, or even just share whatever was in my heart, which I was not doing before. So my healing started then. And that's when I started going from, like, started healing and going from the lows to the highs, where I got into personal growth. And I started then listening to my inner voice, because it was like I got out of the trap. I got out of that deep, mess that I was in, and I started the healing. And as I healed, I then started listening to my inner voice more and more. I started getting more intuitions, and it was showing me to really focus on myself. And there's a very bright light at the end of the tunnel. So I started. It was like the physical, mental, and spiritual cleaning, or the working on all of them. So I started eating the cleanest food. I started preparing for the marathon, and I was running 15 kilometers every evening for the practice. I got into personal growth, deep personal growth. Got introduced to Sadhguru. For the first time, spirituality came to me. Then I was reading Bhagavad Gita. I was listening to whatever Sadhguru was sharing, his videos and everything, and that resonated so well. Shiva came into my life. I resonated with him so much. It was like just following that path. I got introduced to Mind Valley, and I was doing all these practices of really becoming that better version of myself, including the spiritual practices, which was one of the practices by Sri Kumar Rao, which stands out, where I started seeing everything and everyone as me. Like, he used to, so they were like little. There's this quest called Quest for Personal Mastery by Sri Kumar Rao, and he's an excellent teacher in the States. He teaches to these university, the top universities for spirituality, and he used to guide about, like, in these small steps, how you go out and feel everything as you, like you are looking at the tree and see it as you. And so with all these practices, like, my consciousness was expanding a lot.
Cool. And you were in London at this point?
I was in London at that point.
And still working on the business?
Still working on my business at that point, because I was healing. I was still working on the business. And now, instead of what I used to do was drink when I want to work, or have coffee. Like, it's like, doing two things to take myself and relax myself, like really push myself and relax myself. Now I wasn't doing either of them, or I really stopped, and I was focusing on myself as well, instead of on really myself, what my inner, guide was guiding me towards.
And this is before the pandemic?
This is the time of, it's 2020, right? When was 2019 was pandemic. So it was pandemic.
2020. March 2020 in the UK was when it locked down.
Yeah, so it's around that time.
Was it your Saturn return?
Could be. Yeah, could be. Yeah, it was.
When it first started, like when you were just describing,
Yeah.
like all these shifts started happening.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway. Okay. And so were you mostly doing this on your own, like finding these, like, did you have friends or family or did you find new communities who could be part of this journey?
Yeah, so I became a part of Mind Valley, which is, and I was doing certain courses, which is something like Lifebook, which is focusing on all areas of your life and structuring that and really putting that into alignment. And even the Mind Valley community for different quests that I was doing, they were a big kind of support, and they were like very like-minded people from all across the globe. So I was a part of them at that point. So we were exchanging a lot of things together, like, oh, whatever you need, just have accountability buddies and really close groups.
Cool.
I was doing that.
And so you felt like this is really worth investing in, or it was like there's no other choice, like this is just my path to, and you loved it, I guess.
I mean, I would say like so we have this inner voice, which is you talking to yourself, like you guiding yourself in this life. So my inner voice has been like the guiding force in my life. However, when I was doing those practices, when I healed, because that was my second healing. My first healing was in 2016, where I healed myself from the physical and some brain fog I was having because of the caffeine and the cough and the alcohol intake, and I had my gut lining kind of broken. So then I healed myself first, and this was the second healing. And this again, it was from my inner voice, which guides me, like which tells me like go here, and I know how to follow it. I know what's there. So this time it was guiding me with all of that, with whatever I was consuming, with all the food that I'm supposed to consume, the kind of food, and it'll also reject the food. It also would say like, this is not for you, this is for you. So that started getting stronger at that point until I had the spiritual awakening and I became that voice itself. So that was me guiding myself, and I know that it's right for me. So it's not about like it's worth it or not. There was no question at all, because I knew that there's a bright light at the end of the tunnel.
Cool. And you just trusted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Was it
very much?
Was it easy to do that?
I mean, I was seeing the results. I was seeing that I am actually becoming a better person. Like every day, like my emotional state is getting better. So whatever I'm guiding towards, there's no. I mean, if you go to a doctor and they are doing something that working for you, the trust automatically is there. There's no point. There's no way you won't trust them because it's a proof. So
yeah, I think I'm asking this for selfish reasons, because it's like I
why?
know exactly what you're talking about, and I follow that and have so much fun with like following my intuition, and then it's like I'll run into like a celebrity or something. It's like all the that stuff. But I guess I think I'm in a world of people who really don't see. Well, on one hand, I know a lot of people who are in this same world, like you, but then I feel like a lot of people in my life, this is so foreign to them, and I just really struggle. Or even, I don't know, the frameworks I've come from, that it's like, what do you do? And it's like, what you have to be able to define yourself so clearly. It's like, I'm a lawyer or I'm a whatever. And I have like to be like, oh, I just like follow my intuition. Like I just trust the path, because I play around with like saying that. I'm like, I'm just on my path and I'm trusting it. People are just like, what does that mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. And probably if you asked me like around 2018, 2017, I would have answered something like that. It's just that I don't see the world like that anymore. Like it's not like I said, there's no even causality that I see. It's a rhythm. So if I say that, oh, this happened because of that, that will be me making up something just for the sake of conversation. It just is. If I had the depression, it was not because I was my family did something or I started the business, because they are all part of the rhythm. It's just a part of my experience. and depression happened, and I know what happened afterwards because I was meant to have that experience for my expansion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I see things as well. I guess for this, it's just like I'm trying to follow the arc of a narrative.
Yeah.
Or there can be some stuff. Like, that's how I feel like with me experiencing depression. It's like, yeah, it was it's not, yeah, it's just like a flow of something. But I can give you more details of like, oh, at the time I was working in banking and this was happening and I went through a breakup and blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, the juicy details that people like to hear as part of a story, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. So so if you're at peace with like, this is your path and this is how you see the world now, is that like other people around you similar? They can accept that for you, or like for your
Yeah.
family?
Yeah. My family, yes. So for like, so I had those experiences, and after I started, just to give the context, and when I was doing these practices, I had that experience afterwards during one of the runs where I experienced the oneness in everything, and I had an out of body experience where I realized that what I was thinking as Rishabh was the concept of the mind, because I was literally seeing myself from here, and I'm like, oh, it's a concept, and literally like even you are a concept, like what you think of yourself. If you see, it's a concept in the mind. So since then, really frequency started shifting very quick. And the people that I was meeting was in my frequency afterwards. Like the work that I'm here to do, my mission and everything, like it started uncovering in that way where I'm meeting the people or I'm resonating with the people with the same frequency. They are literally the same frequency, similar frequency. It's like the same world. And the people in the old movie started going away a bit. Like we had this discussion, you remember, about two different scenes of the movie. Yeah. So now when I'm connecting with the people, it's not from the mind that I should talk to this person because there's some agenda. It's from the frequency. It's from the heart. It's like, oh, how do I feel about this person? How do I feel? Do I feel excited to talk to her? Let's say we are in this similar frequency because you understand what we are talking about. So that's why we are having this podcast together. And that's how all my, relationships are now. Like same, like we understand each other. We talk the same language, not the same language, maybe not the same language, but, and it's not even important, but at the same time, we understand each other. Let's say that. It's like we can touch each other. Sometimes it's like if you're too further away, like, so if someone is like, what are you talking about? Like when you say like following your heart. So that is like a very different world in terms of even frequency.
Yes. But then, so what do you do with people like long, relationships, like family or friends that you've been friends with? They're still important to you, but then they don't quite understand.
I mean, yeah, I mean, and I don't try to make things happen anymore. I don't try to get them like to talk with me, or because it's just it's like I'm grounded in what I'm doing, and that's my truth, right? Whatever my life is, whatever is showing to me, that's my truth. And a lot of the people from my old life, the ones that I grew up with, my family, ultimately when it's their time to understand this, they come to me. Like a lot of time we are just chatting about things in random, and it's like, how are you, this and that, how's your day, not going deeper because it's not needed. At the same time, also when it's time for them to really understand these things with what's my path, then they automatically come as well. So I don't really bother about, oh, I'm not talking to this person for years, because I know that we still are connected from the heart. So even though I meet them after years, like we are still connected with the heart. So that's completely okay.
Cool. Okay, so then what was the move back to India like?
So when I had this experience and I realized who I am, which is the consciousness experiencing itself, not the body, and I knew I'm not the body, of course, but I used to think that I am Rishabh. This concept that I had in the head, that I am Rishabh, this is how Rishabh looks like, this is how it feels like, and that's how all of us have an image of us. Like if you literally think about yourself, you'll have an image of you. And then that image is given by others in the society. Like my image was given by the people that I was surrounded by, the people that I grew up with, and they fed into my head who I am, and I started living as that, which is a false life, a conditioned life. The moment I got to which my spirit, which my inner voice was guiding me towards, to really have this experience, to expand my consciousness, the moment my consciousness came here, I realized I'm not even the mind, this concept of the mind that I was thinking myself as, and everything, the plans that I had, because if I am not true, like my image is not true, then even the plans that I had of the business, that was also coming from the place of the mind trying to do something, like trying to please someone, or trying to make things happen from little information of the logic. So they were not valid anymore, and there was like my kind of purpose. Like when I touched it, I was like, okay, so I have nothing to do here. And I started getting the deeper guidance from like the first thing that happened, I'm like, oh, what has happened? Like this is because literally I had the tears of bliss in my eyes, because my depression, or all the drama in my life before, let's say not depression, was because of trying to make things happen from the mind. And when that disappeared, I was like, oh wow, this is something that everyone needs to realize. What's next? I want to show this to the world. And then I got the guidance, like go to this ISKCON temple, at Oxford Circus. So I used to have this run from Hyde Park. I was living in Notting Hill then. So next day I went to Oxford Circus, I went to ISKCON temple, I met this monk, and we became friends, and he was the guide for me. And he guided me like what, because he had this experience of spiritual awakening. He shared with me what this life is. And when I got the answers, we became friends. We used to go for walks. And then after a week or so, when I had like this grounding, and I also shared with my friends from Mind Valley, and some of them got immediate like kind of transformation. Some of them got the seeds, and some of them got scared because it was too further away for them to really realize, oh, what could this be? But some of them who were actually on the path, they got the instant transformations. And because I was already in the similar frequency of what the path I was on, the life where life was taking me towards. And then I was guided, like, go back home. So I came back to Delhi. Then I worked on myself. I did a lot of practices. I did a lot of yoga, and really cleaned my unconscious memory, and really worked on my body, mind, and spirit in that year. And my mission was uncovered at that point, to raise consciousness here. Now it's more like to show others how to create your own reality. That's what I'm here for. So that was uncovered the whole year, because I had my family there. So I was living in my apartment besides my family home, and I had the support, because in UK, what would I do? Like, there's no Rishabh anymore. There's no Rishabh that was operating from that false self anymore. So I went back home. I worked on myself, and after that was completed for around a year, when I also worked on my gifts, which through the guidance, like I got guided to learn public speaking. So I did that as well for 4 months during that period. And then when the time was there, I was guided to come to Dehradun.
How long ago was that?
What? It's 20. It's been around 2 years, 3 years. It's been 3 years.
Since you moved from Delhi?
Yeah.
Wow. Wait, so this all happened quite quickly. So, but this was like during the pandemic.
During the pandemic, yeah. Around 2019 it started, and then after that it's like just. And also, to be honest, like, and I have to go back to the dates and the years sometime, because that period was out of time and space for me. Like, and I still have those blurry moments where, like, what year was it? And then I have to go back to it. So it started in 2019. And then since then, it's been like coming back and then, working on myself and then coming here.
And I guess that was a time anyway where so much was in flux and changing. And you could, yeah. I'm just always coming from the lens of like, what do people think about it? And it's like easier to get away with kind of, I don't know. I had a period during the pandemic that was just amazing from a like spiritual perspective, just because it was like time was frozen, and all that social anxiety or whatever of like, what's everyone else doing? Am I doing, like, looking at everyone else's paths and worrying about mine or something? It's like that just disappeared. Yeah, it was like outside time or something.
Yeah, a lot of changes happened for everyone, I would say.
But maybe you weren't worried about, were you just like in so much trust?
I mean, now I can say that from this perspective. At that point, of course, that was a lot of other emotions were there. I mean, trust was there, and that's what kept me going. But also, there were a lot of turbulence happening around. But the trust was higher than that.
And was your family supportive when you first moved back?
Yeah, I mean, they have been, I mean, supportive as in I was living in my another home, but yeah, they have been supportive. So, but anyway, like I was in my own energy more so than anyone.
Yeah, but they weren't like, you need to go back to work.
No. Yeah, now I'm laughing because I see that coming from you. Like, why are you asking that? Your parents didn't ask that?
Oh my God. Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No, they didn't have this flavor. They do have other flavors, but not this one.
Okay. Okay, you have to go. So we need to.
I mean, that's okay. We can continue for a bit if you want.
Okay, because I just want to ask before.
Yeah.
I have 3 questions at the end, but one thing I wanted to ask was, I guess obviously the stereotype of India from like other places in the world is like, it's this very spiritual place, and obviously a lot of people, yoga comes from there, and a lot of people go there to like find themselves or like to live in an ashram or something. And you could almost, I guess you could be mistaken with thinking like, oh, that must mean like everyone in India is spiritual or something, which is like, obviously that's why it's interesting, the conversation we had at the start about religion and the spirituality missing from that. But so when you were working through Mind Valley stuff or other like Western views of spirituality, or Brene Brown, like whoever, like all these different ideas, but then paths leading back, like then getting into yoga and stuff, like I don't know, was that like, it's weird to almost think that you could be like, I don't know if it's like, oh, you going back to India and it's like, then you find this whole world of spirituality, or it's like, oh yeah, lots of people, but then it's still foreign to you, even though you're from India or something. Sorry, that's
Mm-hmm.
like,
Yeah.
as in, obviously, there's like there's so many spiritual places you can find, and you know, sad gurus from there, and like all this stuff. Because I did that yoga 21 program thing with Sadhguru that you sent me. So then I'm learning about all this stuff like yoga, namaskar, and whatever. But it's weird that like that would have always existed in India, but you weren't exposed to it when you were growing up so much.
Mm.
But then at the same time, you're learning other Western ideas, but then you're like, oh, this is actually comes back from like, you know, stuff that they knew 4,000 years ago or whatever in the place that I'm from. So I guess I'm just wondering how
Yeah.
that experience was for you.
I feel like since India is of course a very high energy and spiritual place, so that's available in offer in the culture. Let's say it's available in the buffet for you to consume. It's available in the energy. It's not like everyone consumes it because they are aware of, probably they don't have that big stomach yet to consume the spiritual stuff. It needs a certain energy to really understand what is spirituality, because life is spirituality. So when I moved to the UK, I was so happy. I was so free, and I was expanding so much. So I really started seeing like, oh wow, this is the world. This Western world is the lens, and that moment I was in the mind. And when you're in the mind, of course, you're in the material plane. Material plane as in this world, like physical world that we live in. So when you are there, then the Western world looks like, oh, advanced. It's more advanced because when you're in Oxford, intellectual talks are happening from the mind. And I became westernized, let's say, at that point. And I'm like, oh, I mean, I don't resonate with India, like, because of my earlier experience, and my expansion happened more than that, what I had experienced before. Now, since I got from the intellect to the spiritual plane, which is a more expanded place of life, where the intellect stops, there the spirit starts. Let's say that, because it's all guidance. It's always there, and everything is spirituality. So when that phase was there for me, and since this thing is there in the menu of India, so I was guided to come this side so I can work on myself. I can be in this energy of India. And also, like, I've been going to Isha Yoga Center. I've been there. I've been guided there a couple of times, and I've had like a lot of expansions in those retreats. So I do see, like, coming back here, seeing the world back from this lens, and I'm like, wow, like India is actually a different thing, like thing which is so much apart from what I used to think. Like it's so rich. It's the culture, although not everyone is accessing that, but at the same time it's there. Like the stories, the spirituality, our Bhagavad Gita or different tales, they are actually guiding you. They are not stories. They are basically there. If you decode them, they are translations. For example, for Bhagavad Gita, there's one by Paramahansa Yoganand, and he translates it into like how this whole science is there for your self-transformation, written in the form of stories, literally. And it's all there. And then I started seeing like, whoa, like what I was thinking, like what I was thinking about India before. And that was the reason I was brought back here. Like, because this is the conducive environment for this phase of life. I don't know if I'll be staying here because, phases keep on changing. Like now you have moved to Australia for the time being.
Just visiting.
But like how you would change places too.
Mm-hmm.
Automatically you'll start feeling that, oh, I want to change the place. The time is over for this place.
Yeah.
And the next one would be best for you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's interesting that you mentioned spiritual texts, because I had that experience recently with someone invited me to their church, which is like because I grew up Catholic and it's like a Church of England thing. And I was like, oh, this is like a foreign thing, but okay, whatever, I'll go along and be open. And then what they were reading, like some passage they shared from the Bible, was literally Jesus was like describing manifestation. He was like, it was great. I'm like, this is manifestation. He's literally saying it in this part. I'm like, wow, it's so, yeah, so interesting.
Yeah, and that's what I feel like. All the texts, all these stories, which we take them as stories, but they are literally metaphorical for you to decode, and they are decoded in translations too, for you to really get to the highest version of yourself, from body to mind to spirit, because we are spiritual beings having physical experiences. So really, all the texts are there for your highest expansion, nothing else. There is no story at all. Stories are there for you to understand the deeper meaning.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Wait, last question before I ask you the last 3 questions. What were you talking about on the Mind Valley stage? Oh, because so yeah, you have these great photos of you on stage, but you also posted something saying like, don't give someone a lecture when what they need is a hug or something. And then, anyway, I'll tell you after what happened.
Yeah.
But okay, wait, yeah. So what were you talking about?
I spoke about my journey of spiritual awakening, and from there to what this phase has been like for these last 5 years has been like for me, and how you tap into your intuition, and then how you manifest. And that was like, again, a guided thing, the whole thing, going to Mind Valley University, giving a speech, like topic, it just came through. And it was a wonderful experience.
Amazing. Cool. Great.
Yeah, tell me about the lecture thing.
Yeah.
Don't give someone a lecture when they need a hug.
Yeah, I'll send you a voice note because otherwise it's going to take too long and you
Okay.
need to go.
Right.
But okay, last 3 questions. Oh my God. Wait, unless there's anything else you want to say. I'm just thinking like, you need to teach us all one day about how to follow our intuition. But anyway.
Maybe after the 3 questions.
Okay.
Just to really wrap it up.
How do you stay grounded?
How do I stay grounded? I stay grounded literally by being in touch with the ground. Like, I do grounding every day. Like, that's the grounding energy, and that's your root chakra. So I go to the park while I'm journaling, or I'm just taking some time out to be in that energy and taking being in touch with the ground. Literally, that is grounded.
Shoes off.
Yeah, shoes off. Oh, definitely, yeah. Unless, they are not rubber or they are special soles, then you can wear them. But I would obviously recommend shoes off.
Nice. What is there a book that's had a big impact on you?
Oh, there have been so many. One that comes to mind is the 4 Agreement. That came it's by so the book called The 4 Agreements. I'm just forgot the name of who has written it, but yeah, that came during this phase when I needed to get my concepts really clear on. So he shares about like how this life is a dream, and it's more like not in a spiritual text. It's like he will take you and make you understand like these are the 4 agreements that we make as human, And also you'll realize, like what I was talking about, like how this life is a dream and how we are the main characters in in our movies, and your main character is you, and your mother's movie has a side character you, so which is very different than what you think of yourself. So that's what actually gives you a perspective that it's a movie, and these are the agreements. So really to make you a better person. And there's a fifth agreement, which is the second book. So highly recommend that. And also Bhagavad Gita in translation, or by Paramahansa Yoganand.
Cool.
Only the translated text. Yeah.
Why only the translated?
Yeah, because I mean, the first time I read the Bhagavad Gita by there's one as it is. I mean, I was getting it. However, it was literal translation. It was not. It was translating as in what's written. In the translation, in the second one, I mean, Bhagavad Gita was giving me the meaning of what's written in the Gita. What, like literal meaning, literal translation. In this one, and the one by Paramahansa Yoganand, it's like decoding it, what has been given initially. And these are literally like, if there are 100 brothers, like there were a fight between like seven Pandavas and 100 Kauravas, and they show like this is the fight of Mahabharata. And so 7 Pandavas are your 5 chakras and then energy centers, and then 100 Kauravas, the other brothers, are your different like it's what's the word, it's negative sense tendencies, like the one that takes you, like the tendencies you have, and they have names such as that. It's like literally you can see like that they have been named as that. So this life is all about how your life is about the fight between good and the bad, or because there's no such thing as good or bad, but negative and positive. It's like, because we are all fighting that battle within. So they have decoded that in there, like how you fight that battle. In the little one, you'll be like, okay, it's good, I'm becoming a good person. What next? So there's a lot of difference when you actually get to understand the decoded meaning.
Got it. Okay. What 3 words describe the best version of Rishabh?
Yeah, the best version. Love, authenticity, power.
Cool. Great. Okay. Anything else you want to say, and where can people find you and everything like that?
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter, the Rish Gupta. You can find me on Instagram, Rish Gupta official, and YouTube. I don't remember. I'm just creating it, so we can share that with the video. But yeah, this is cool. You can email me if you want. Rishabh, RISHABH 1708 @gmail.com. I would love to hear. And the words would be: tap back into your powers, because you create your own reality.
Great.
You always create your own reality every moment. So we just need to tap back into the powers.
Amazing. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Love this conversation. And we'll see you on the other side. Take care. Much love. Bye.